In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Crypto Night Show. Your host Superman in the house. Well, we got big news there from Trump around peace talks. At least, getting the deal done, as it were. So we're looking forward to that. Obviously, when you're dealing with a terrorist regime, radicals, you've got to deal with the concept of takik. I think it's called takik, something like that. And of course, that's deception. So. We'll see what happens there. We'll see if that happens. But anyway, the markets liked it in the short term. Certainly adds to volatility. And of course, war typically has the growth factor out of it. So we'll see what happens in that space too. Certainly looking positive at the moment. So we're going to get into all that. And to cover the stock news, we're going to cover the cryptos majors. We're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into Bitcoin and Ethereum. We're going to be looking at the new update announcements from Strategy for Bitcoin from Michael Saylor, and also Bitmine Immersion from Tom Lee. We got the latest results for their last week's purchases and some big news in that space as well around new share assurances. So we'll have a look at that. And then we'll have a look at Pulsechain, starting to go a little bit green after a big sell-off. And then we'll get into the monster thread. Just came out, number 46. So envious crypto out there working hard on that. And then we're going to have a quick look at maybe some of the project updates as well in Pulsechain. So I hope you guys enjoy the show there. Craig Pitt in the house there. Morning all. Good to see you, Craig. Pleasure as always. We've got Crypto Dan as well. Hey, Superman. Woo, great news. Hopefully. Yeah, that's right. My main thing is, in contrast to Tucker Carlson, who I think lives in La La Land, is that we have to deal with any major threat around terrorists having nukes, right? No one wants terrorists with nukes. Because they don't fight like a conventional army, right? They send them through some deceptive way and blow up things, right? So we don't want that sort of thing happening. And so it's better to deal with it now, long overdue, decades overdue. And of course, I'm hoping also that the Iranian people get free, hopefully within weeks, if not a few months. So we'll see what happens there. Certainly in the short term, it would be the easiest thing to do. But of course, you're still dealing with the IRGC military, right? Which Iran's a large country. I think it's about 90 million in the population. Very large country as well physically. So there's a few issues there, but we'll see what happens in that space. All right, so let's jump into let's do the socials first, I guess. So if you're new to the channel, we're streaming on 3 YouTube channels. We're the largest Pulsechain streamer that does daily shows. I take a few days off here and there these days, but generally daily shows, sometimes 2 or 3 shows in a day. So I guess I make it up for it there. And so if you haven't subscribed, smash the subscribe button. We're on the Crypto Night Show, Superman Crypto, and Pulsechain X, the 3 YouTube channels. Hit the subscribe and hit the bell for all the hottest news. We're covering pretty much Bitcoin, Ethereum, Pulsechain. We get intentional to do some more X1 coverage and potentially Solana as well. So those are kind of the main sort of chains we're looking to cover. What else could I say? It's pretty awesome. If you're on X, don't forget to go up to the top and smash the old follow button. We're heading up towards 2,000 followers now. And of course, I had to restart the channel. So we started from 0 and we're going to hero, as it were. So get on that. Now, if you also haven't joined the Strategy Club, that's pretty amazing. You're going to get all the intel flows in there. I post it every day. You can see the QR code that will join up through the Whoop store. If you're on X course, you can go up to the top there and join up through the Whoop strategy room there. You will go through the Whoop store, sign up. It's just over $1 a day. And then you will end up in the Strategy Club in our Discord, which is amazing. So we'll look forward to seeing you there. If you're on YouTube, the link's under the description. So with the socials out of the way, let's jump into the stock market news. Obviously, stock market for Monday. And what a good start to the week. So Wall Street averages end more than 1% higher on Middle East de-escalation, they say. So remember, investing.com is a left-wing platform, like many others, so you got to reinterpret what they say, but that is fairly okay, I would say, at this stage. Dow Jones at the moment up 1.4%, 631 points. A really good day for the Dow Jones at 46,208. If we look over the last month, just as a quick check, we can see the Dow Jones was all the way up at about 49,500. We're at 46,200, so we recovered 630. That's pretty good, right? Because we're still quite short, about 3,300. So that 630 was a good recovery there. The S&P 500 is up 1.15%, 74 points to 65,801. Now, Tom Lee's mark is still, I think it's still 7,700 for the S&P for the end of the year. Obviously with this dip, but we were up at almost 6,950, and we're down about, about 450 points still, but a nice recovery of 75 today, so not bad there. The Nasdaq is up 1.4%, 300 points to 21,946, and at the month ago we were up at 23,100. So we're still about 1,200 points down, something like that. But a nice recovery of 300 points today. The US dollar there still looking pretty strong at 99.1, but really hasn't sit over 100. I remember when Trump came into power on the 20th of January last year, it was 108. So the US dollar is very strong at that time, and has definitely depreciated in that sense. All right, let's go to the commodities. West Texas oil, obviously the oil prices went through the roof. Now remember, there are different oil prices around the world. So America has West Texas and Brent oil. There's others in Asia. So there's lots of different prices depending on where you are, and they will move around, right? They will move around and be quite separate from each other. So that's why you might get some variation in deliveries. So we just saw Australia get stuff from Singapore. Singapore gets they have refineries there, and then they get oil from the Strait of Hormuz there, so they have to process that. So you can see how different flows in the world affect different countries. The US, of course, because of I guess to some great degree, it was under Trump that US became a net exporter and started exporting. So that was pretty awesome. And so the US is in a very different situation from a lot of the other countries that use the Strait of Hormuz, which is where all the issues are, and that is China, India, Japan, Europe. These are the countries that really get stuck in there, and not the US so much. So you can see some of the positions that Trump holds because of that. So the other side of it, of course, is there's this old saying about trumpets and guns. Obviously, the markets sell off when you hear trumpets, and then when you see the guns, you kind of get a better idea that all the doom scenarios suddenly dissipate, and you kind of get a clearer picture, as it were. The fog starts to move, and you get a clearer picture. Perhaps that's what we're seeing today with the announcement of talks with some sort of leaders that seem to have the ability to control some parts of Iran, at least. So that's going to be interesting to see that as well. Like I say, I think the talks are great. They might get some sort of settlement. Maybe it's part of the regime that they're dealing with, and because regimes have their own factions. And so we'll see what happens. We're talking about the third level leadership now, third level leadership. So we'll see what happens in that space. But with radical Islam, they use deception, right? So this concept of, I think it's called takiku or something like that. I can't say it in my own English, but it's kind of this concept of deception which they use in the West, right? So we'll see where all that heads. It's not like making a deal in normal West, as they say. Although, making deals with progressives is pretty much the same thing. Deception. All right, so we got gold. We got Brent oil, West Texas oil there at $91, up at 3% at the moment. So we're just getting a bit of a bounce back there. But you can see it actually fell off here from $100. So that's really cool. We're down almost $9 there, but we're up by $2.76 at the moment. So if we have a look at the last week for the oil, you can see we did come down from over $101. Not bad. Brent oil at the moment also come down from about $108, and we're down at $98, so about $10 there. We're up about $1.70 at the moment. So we're just getting a little bit of a bounce back there after that retracement. But that's a good sign. We're back under $100, good sign there. West Texas and Brent oil there. We've got gold at the moment is really been hit hard, isn't it? And this is why I said to take profits once we've got in those ranges. Obviously, we've got a special event going on with the war, but nevertheless, that was the right decision there. So we're down 1%, up $48, down $48 to $4,390 on gold, and presumably, although we'll probably get a bounce back in gold, maybe we'll see. we're going to get rotation probably, and crypto should be the benefit of that into that rotation. We got silver down at 1.5% dollar to $68, so that's really coming down, really breaking down now. And we got copper there as well, which is we know Brendan loves copper. So we've got the gold there. He's probably not watching, but it's just the way it goes. So yeah, over the last year, let's have a look at that gold just quickly. What a rally it was, beautiful rally, and definitely selling down now, breaking some support levels there. Probably at a pretty key area right now for gold at 4,400. Silver likewise, what a run up it had, and peaked out in January, late January there, 113, all the way down to 68. So now you can see why you got to take profits. You don't want to ride it down the other side. What happens when it rallies like this? You get a lot of nonsense supply supports about constraints and all that. Well, that's just ridiculous. Just look at the chart. If the chart goes parabolic or even exponential in some ways, it's time to take profits, right? You've made a couple of X's there. Don't get diluted. Don't get diluted, and then ride it down the other side. So some lessons to be learned there. Same's true in crypto. When the crypto market rallies ahead of us, remember to take some profits when you've made some decent gains and the chart looks pretty heavy. So remember that. Also, we saw that in the Pruvex chart. Remember, talked about that rolling over. I posted a thing about that. It rolled over and so forth. And then we got a nice bounce at 9,000. We're going to talk about that later on. So remember to do that. Really is important to take profits on the way up. Another person who's actually very good at talking about that is Randy Alasky, another influencer in the Pulsechain. Does great commentary on taking profits, so you're not crying on the other side when it goes the other way down. The reason why is because you wait all that time. You can wait a couple of years for that parabolics to start happening, the big uptrend, and then you're like excited. You say, oh man, it's taken forever. And then you get that moment, and then you don't sell, and you ride it down the other side, and then you got another 4 years. Before you know it, you've waited 8 years or something for the second one. So it's really important to remember that. All right, so that is where we are there. So obviously President Trump there in talks. Obviously the Iranian media saying, oh, we don't know anything about what he's talking about. So you got a little bit of that going on. Obviously Trump didn't blow up the electricity network. Now I don't think he really wants to. I think he will if he has to, if he feels he's forced to, but he doesn't really want to because he's obviously the majority of the Iranian people want to get rid of the extremist Islamic rule because they've been under oppression, since 79 I think it was, 47 years or so. So they want to get rid of it. And so he's not wanting to take out the electrical network because you truly are going to be kicked back to the Stone Age in that way. Yeah. Going to be pretty hard, doing stuff without electricity, and of course the whole society will break down, right? It's very hot there, water supplies, everything else. You think about it, the roll-on effects are huge on a humanitarian basis there, and so Trump there, maybe playing a bit of a bluff. So that's sort of some stuff happening there. Trump predicts oil prices will drop back like a rock. Well, we've seen them already coming back from over $100. And we'll see where they lead from here. That will still mean that there's disruptions in oil flows, particularly outside the US. So they'll have to get those fixed up. Might take a few weeks. Countries are not yet in, as far as I've seen, at least the countries, at least down under here, Australia and New Zealand, are not into any limitations on the oil supplies. So there's obviously some of the petrol stations run out of petrol, some of them, to probably more about bad management or just supply timing. But actually, I think New Zealand was at something like 46 days or somewhere in that ballpark, and Australia was even lower. I think Australia 30-something, 34, 35 or something days, which is getting there, right? I think you'd probably start to, start limiting supplies once, you go down to essential services and things like that. Once you get to maybe, I don't know, maybe 4 weeks, something like that might be when you might start kicking it in, let's say 28 days. Not sure whether there's a legal framework. I think there is for that. So that'll be a pretty interesting topic. But New Zealand, they're not there at the moment, 46. That being said, future supplies may still be impacted for some of those countries. And of course, they're getting on the phone, ringing refineries around the world. I believe Australia has 2, maybe 3 refineries. But of course, Australia has the Labor Party. They've got this terrible policy of net zero. As we all know, those are for losers. They're extremely expensive to put in place. They're always bad for security of supply. And this is what we're seeing, right? Just another terrible policy from the left. We got that in New Zealand as well. We had the previous left government We only had one refinery in New Zealand that got shut down. Now they publicly they say, oh, it was a private company decision, but what actually happens is they may get a letter sent to them, or they may make the public policy so draconian, which is what they did, that the refinery takes that pressure and shuts down the refinery. And of course, once you shut them down, it takes a couple of years to get them back up, and something like in the case of the refinery, $4 or $5 billion to get back up. So it's a bit of a fool's game, and so it's a very disingenuous, announcements. We closed it down because it wasn't profitable. We refined, but actually, it's really due to political pressure, which happens every time. We've seen that in power companies. Power companies get letters and then they shut down or change their policies. And so now we see all the power companies in New Zealand, and on the back of that government pressure from the left with their silly net zero, going renewable. And renewable's expensive, remember. So there's no fools there. And there are differences in environments as well. Obviously, Australia is very sunny. New Zealand is not like that. New Zealand's very not that sunny. And what you typically get when you get wind and solar is you get when you get no wind, you typically got no sun as well shining. So you lose both of them at the same time. Now the offset, of course, these days is batteries, but it's still very expensive to put all those three kits in, and then also run other parts of the network like reactive power, etc., things like that. So there's a lot of issues there. We could go on and on about that. So some stuff there happening now. Obviously, particularly Australia, which is a large country, they could get into doing more oil discovery and processing more oil to get closer to self-sufficiency as well. So food for thought there, but it's probably going to need a party like One Nation to do that, because the left are crazy nut jobs. Let's just be frank. So that is where we are right now with the old markets. Let's jump over to the crypto. See where we are on crypto. We got 2.498 trillion right now on the market cap, up 3.8%. So a real nice jump there. We've got Bitcoin. Let's do a refresh of this actually, because sometimes the CoinGecko API gets or website gets shut. Delayed there. Yeah, 3.5%. We got Bitcoin at the moment up 4.4% at $70,678. We've got Ethereum up 4.7% at $2,142. Ethereum holding up particularly well, I think. I really like where Ethereum is. XRP at number 4 is up 3% at $1.42. BNB up 2% at $636. Solana is up 5.9%, big move there, $91. Tron is down 0.6% at just below 31 cents. And you got Figure Helic $1.03 at 1%. And finally, Doge there up 3.7% at 9.3 cents. So those are the top 10 right now. Solana making the biggest move of the day, but Ethereum doing pretty well at 4.7%. I do like where Ethereum is sitting at 21.42. We'll talk about that in a minute. The only one up for the week is Tron up 4.2%, and Figure Helic up there 0.3% in the top 10. Top 100, we got Siren. Man, that's really made a noise, isn't it? We got that up 446% at the moment, and sitting at number 44, up another 11% today, so real powering there. And we got Just at the moment up 13%, A7, A5 up 9.1%, BitTensor Tau up 6.4%, and Mincore up 5.4%. So we've got a couple of really new performers there performing pretty well from the looks of it, particularly Siren and Just and A7. So, and BitTensor Tau, of course, getting in the news around the interview with Jensen there from NVIDIA. So getting a bit of limelight there about their technical tests, I think, of AI processing. I can't remember the exact test they did, but it was a pretty technical accomplishment there. So those are the top ones in the top 100. Top 1,000, we've got Casper Network, Targon, and Ditto there in the top 1,000 top gainers. Trending overall, we've got Bitcoin, and we've got Backpack. So Backpack, of course, SVM wallet for Solana, and of course X1 chain. And then we've got BitTensor Tau there as well, up 12%. So there we go. Those are what's trending at the moment. Let's zoom in, though, a little bit here on the Bitcoin charts. And we've got a couple of comments in the chat too I'll get to at the moment. So let's just take a break. We'll take a break. Our sponsor today is Tam Tam. Tam Tam all the way from Nebraska. All right, jokes aside, before I get rugged off the show, we'll move on. All right, so let's jump over to some of the comments. And we've got Tara in the house. Hey, Tara. Hello. Good to see you, Tara. Welcome. We've got Life Wave as well. Keep up the great work, man. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. There's double appreciation there, Life Wave. We got Tam Tam in the house there. Hello, my lovelies. Good to see you, Tam Tam. And jokes aside, it's always great to have Tam Tam in the house. What else? We got Tara says hello. Hey, Tara, nice one. All right, so we got that going on. Let's go to the Bitcoin. Have a look at this Bitcoin chart. As you can see, at the moment, we've got the Bitcoin there at 70,700 almost. We were a little bit higher earlier in the day. Got up to, almost yesterday. We got a brand new candle from looks like we got almost up to 71,000, 72,000. So pretty cool. We have broken down that little channel that I have, or little wedge that I had. We haven't made it back to the 50-day moving average, which is in yellow. 50-day moving average there is 72,200. We want to get back over that 72,200 mark a lot. Also, the 200-day is at 86,376, which is the orange line there. So we want to get over that too. We are at the top of the channel that we just came out of. As you can see, we're sort of angling up there. We're at the top of there testing that, I guess, and hopefully up and away from here. And we'll get some nice little power moves back over that 50-day, the yellow line, at 72,000, and then hopefully get a couple big green candles. You know how it happens in the old crypto. We get those power moves, and maybe top 20 days in the year is when you make and lose the most money on the old cryptos. So, well, there we go. So that is where we are. So, yeah, 72. So we've got a power above that. We've possibly got the right news for that. So we'll see how the next 24 hours, 48 hours goes, pushing us back over that 50-day moving average. So we're still in that death cross, and we want to start, angling up and get a golden cross. We have some good news from the big digital asset treasuries. Remember, a lot of our key money is coming in through ETFs and ETPs, perhaps, and also digital asset treasuries. So we've been following those pretty closely as the big institutional corporates start migrating over to the blockchain. Now, this is a multi-year process, but we should see some big moves over the next 18 months in that space, and therefore a lot of value flowing into Bitcoin to pump it up, and of course also into Ethereum. So it's really exciting. It's the most exciting time because we're finally in that holy grail period. We've got the institutions, and of course retail will come, right? Retail will come as well eventually and give us some hyper pumps, and the top's in, right? The top's in then. Top's in there, at least for that period of time, right? So that's kind of cool. All right, so let's move forward here a little bit into the digital asset treasuries, which are really leading the way. And Michael Saylor may have discovered the iPhone of Bitcoin, right? With this new stretch preferred stock yield product. So pretty awesome. Strategy has also acquired another 1,031 BTC. Remember last week and the week before it was something like 23,000 and 18,000 because they had both products working at the same time. Stretch at the moment is still below $100 par, so it won't really be issuing new shares and new capital raise through the fixed sort of interest products. Not really fixed, but variable interest product there from Stretch. So that's something we're going to look forward to maybe in a week. Next week or two, and that will be very different. So we're watching that. That's pumping tons of money from the fixed interest markets or yield markets there into Bitcoin and pumping it up. So it's a game changer. Is that the iPhone moment of Bitcoin? Certainly looks good at the moment, at least the first couple of weeks. And I'm not expecting it to slow down. I'm expecting it to ramp up and therefore really pump a lot of money into the old Bitcoin. So as of the 22nd of March, we hodl 762,099 Bitcoin acquired for $57.69 billion. Remember, this is just below IBIT's number of about 780,000. Those are the two big corporates. And of course, they got the average price there at 75,694. So they've still got a paper loss at the moment, but not realized, right? So that's kind of where we are there on that. But they had some bigger news there. So let's go to talk about that with the Michael Saylor. Let's see, we'll scroll down here. Scroll up? Yeah, scroll up. I think we're scrolling up. Yeah, scroll up here. So let's go up to some. Strategy announced a new $21 billion STRC at the market. So ATM means at the market program, and a new 21 billion MSTR at the market program. So Stretch is a preferred stock. That's basically targeting the money market, bond market, which is hundreds of trillions of dollars. So it's trying to vampire attack that. And I think it's going to be very successful because the yields are 2 or 3 times better, and you don't lot simpler terms as well. And so it's a game changer. The high income, if you're retired and you're sitting on Stretch, man, you're probably going to be loving it. Or, I gave the analogy yesterday. Someone might be having their money at the pot. Maybe they're retired and they're your next door neighbour and they're earning like 3-4% at best, and here you are earning 11 to 13.5%. It's a different lifestyle, right? It's a different lifestyle. So there we are. Strategy announced a new 21 billion stretch ATM program and a 21 billion MR. So MSDR, of course, is the common stock, and of course that is. It still buys the Bitcoin with the money they raise, but of course it issues more shares. So that's where we are right now. Now more shares means obviously if the price goes up, you're gonna get more benefit that way, but not technically accretive from that point of view. So those are huge announcements. That is a big announcement. So yeah, 1,000 is really great purchase, but man, that is crazy. So big stuff to happen in the future. From that, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Let me just see if we got anything else there I wanted to talk about. No, so we're going to look at this announcement here, and we've got a little breakdown of this coming up. So let's do that first, actually. So we've got Adam Livingston. He's an influencer that covers Bitcoin in a big way, and he goes, "This is insane. Strategy's 42 billion Bitcoin super weapon." So just adding those two things together, right? 24, 21, 21. We get 42 billion super weapon. You are not bullish enough on MSDR. That's the common stock, of course. Strategy just approved 21 billion stretch and ATM and 21 billion MR. That's basically, just think about it as capital raising. Now here the part of the market is too concussed to understand. At the current balance sheet settings, every $1 of stretch needs about $1.94 of MSDR, which is the common stock, to keep amplification flat. So if stretch is running at 2 billion a month, the current pace over the last month, MSDR has to run at roughly 3.9 billion a month. That's 5.9 billion a month, right? So awesome stuff there. At today's BTC price, it's about 83,500 Bitcoin per month of purchases. Think about that. That's just insane amount of purchases, isn't it? Pretty crazy. If they scale Mr. Issuance enough to support the whole thing, 42 billion total deployed at flat amplification roughly buys almost 600,000 Bitcoin. So think about that. Remember, the target at the moment is to get to about a million, right? That's the current target, and they're at 762,000. And of course, this new potential issuance. So in other words, they requested the increase, the amount that they can raise in the market would be equivalent at the current price of Bitcoin at almost 600,000. So you take 600,000, add it to 760. It's kind of the idea, right? So you're looking at over 1.3 million. All right, so it's a pretty big amount there. So we'll see. So in about 7.1 months it would take to do that. If Bitcoin compounds, it does 25% CARG. From there, that's one acquired Bitcoin tranche grows from $42 billion to $391 billion in 10 years at 25% growth. So this is the current prices. Obviously, the prices. If you're gonna start buying all the Bitcoin off the market, and you're buying more than the miners are making, more than any OGs are selling or anything like that. If they get to a million in hodling, and of course this mechanism here is the expansion of how they're going to do it. It is the iPhone moment with the stretch, right? Then you're going to head up into $1 trillion markets, right? Which is why you hear Michael say that, because at the moment we've got the market cap at about 2.5 trillion total market of crypto. But Bitcoin with this new vehicle, arguably, and we're expecting it to grow, because remember, it's tapping hundreds of $1 trillion markets from the money market and bond market, because the yield's like 3 times better, and you're on the back of Bitcoin as the collateral. You're potentially looking at trillions of trillions. Now that's why you hear Michael Saylor talking about $100 trillion market, right? When gold was up, $5,000, I think the market was like 45 trillion or something. So just getting from 2.5 to 50 trillion, let's say, you got a long way to go. So we're talking about targeting 100 trillion, 200 trillion, and then even higher in the future. So that's where things are going. As you guys know, Michael Saylor's price target for Bitcoin in 2045, I think his mid case is $13 million of Bitcoin. So this is kind of where it's going, and how you're going to do that is obviously getting all the institutions, everybody coming, the retail coming, everyone around the world sort of adopting to some degree through different vehicles. But really, you're getting this targeting of the private credit market to fund the Bitcoin rise. Those hundreds of $1 trillion tapping in with better yields to go and pump Bitcoin. So this is the big picture. That's the big picture, basically. So pretty big stuff there as well. So looking good. So we'll keep a lookout for that. And you can see it's going to be a pretty big deal going forward. So some nice stuff there for the old Bitcoin. So it's early days. Bring it on. Bring on the big numbers, right? So that is some of the stuff there. Now, in terms of the bottom, where are we in the bottom of the market? Well, generally there's many models to try and model the bottom of the market. Probably the best has been the power law, right? And we can see just over the duration of the power law there, we've got, we seem to be, pretty close to the bottom. And we've got the bottom of the power law there. Power law floor is at 51,600. I don't know if we're going to get there on this particular memento. We certainly got the right catalyst, like Iran and stuff, but we've been to 60k so far, and 60k is kind of a reasonable level. So we'll see whether we've actually tapped the bottom or not, or whether we, have some day in the future where we have a flash crash 51. Remember, there's all these margin positions, open interest, as we say, which are people that are going long, in other words, expecting the price to go up and they make money at leverage that way, or people that expect the market to go down and they go short that way. And of course, there's combinations that people can have of products, including options and things like that out in the market. It's far more exotic in the old Bitcoin space there. But this could very well be close to the bottom, if not the bottom, and we could be on the upside. And certainly, if a deal's made with Iran that seems stable, this could definitely be a pickup there, as well as the growth story around the war. So we'll keep a lookout for that, but certainly looking pretty interesting there with the old power law there. So 60, we've already tapped it. We get a tap again. Well, we've already had a nice little power back with over 70,000 again. So we'll see where we head. Certainly looking good so far. Still, March, April possibly could still look quite good. May, of course, sell in May, go away, come back later on. And then we've still got, but the thing with April, we've also got another, just like we had the Iranian war as a sort of a black swan type of event. We've also got the upside, a white swan event, one would argue, and that is or at least a special event, because we kind of know it's there, so it's good to call it that, is that we've got the Clarity Act, right? And that Clarity Act is still looking good, between maybe 60-70%, I think, on poly market to get done by April or May. And so that's a huge catalyst for the second half of the year, but may move us earlier to the upside, especially when you got these digital asset treasuries buying Bitcoin at such levels. It's sort of structural change, and then you got more institutions coming with ETFs, like all the big banks coming with Bitcoin ETFs, and the ETF people have actually been pretty good diamond hands. So I think it's going to be pretty cool. So that's kind of some of the stuff there with the old treasury. Now remember, all this stuff here, all this money flowing in, 90% of the money flowing in comes into Bitcoin, Ethereum. That's all going to pump Pulsechain bags. It's more money out there sloshing around, along with all the monetary printing with the economics. Hopefully we get some interest rate cuts in the second half of the year. We've got a lot of bullish catalysts coming up, right? We've got also a growth in the US manufacturing starting to get up there as well. They've got all the right things starting to converge. We just need to get rid of some of the old people, like the Fed chair, and start moving forward there. We're also expecting a lot of the growth from Trump's big $19-20 trillion investments last year to really kick it into gear as well, along with a lot of that. But we do have some challenges, deflationary challenges, and that possibly will feed into Bitcoin as well. And that is around the impact of AI and productivity, efficiency, less humans, all that sort of stuff. So we've still got all that playing in, and that also plays into monetary policy as well. All right, so that is the power law there. Let's jump over to Ethereum. Ethereum at the moment is at 2141. We're below the 50-day as well. Pretty interesting positions we're in right now, right below the 50. And we're sitting, the 50 there is sitting at 2200, let's say. And the 200 there is dropped below 2800. We're now at 2786 on the old orange line there. And so, yeah, we've just got to get a power move and stay over that 50-day and start getting it turned up. We're still in that death cross playing out. We've had two major waterfalls, waterfall heaps of waterfalls, but two major ones if you want to take two lines there. And so have we hit the bottom? And the bottom there being 1742, so $1,742. We're kind of at the top of this channel as well, so we're kind of looking good. And if we can build on this peace deal, then we'll see what happens. Now, I'm only interested in a peace deal if we have certainty that we're getting rid of the nukes. But the other thing that I really care about is the Iranian people getting free from the radicals, because it's been horrific for 47 years, and they've killed tens of thousands of people just this year, executions and everything else. What kind of society is that to live in, right? So, unfortunately, freedom is always paved with war and blood, and that's what potentially we're seeing at the moment. And freedom is only lost within a generation, right? So we're facing, people trying to take freedom away, the progressive left trying to take freedoms, right? They're trying to take freedoms away, and of course we've also got the Islamics and other kind of what I call authoritarian cultures trying to take freedoms away. So it's only as good as your last generation, and so you've really got to maintain it with all you can. So we really are in battle around freedom, and you can see that showing up in the politics right now. So stand for freedom, because you don't want to be enslaved, that's for sure. All right, so we're at 2143 is where we are right now on the charts. Let's go to the other big catalyst, the digital asset treasuries as well. Now, obviously, we've got some pretty cool exchange-traded funds coming in. Morgan Stanley with their new staking product, their ETHG product. So we got a whole ton of money coming in from corporates through that. That comes through all their client lists as well. Even if they allocate like 1% of portfolio, you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars, etc., all flowing through. And now we've also got the digital asset treasuries, and particularly Tom Lee there leading the way. And potentially this could be even, it's going to be interesting, could be even more powerful relative for Ethereum. Not in the total money comes in, but potentially so. We've got big players happening there. There's between Michael Saylor, Tom Lee are doing some spectacular things for the the new monetary system on the blockchain. So Bitmine provided its latest holding update, $11 billion now, so it's already up there. So we're at 4,660,000 ETH. Remember, they're heading towards 6,032,000 or 34,000, and so this is very important. So huge amount there. They've obviously got 196 Bitcoin, 200 million stake Mr. Beast, and we know Mr. Beast is going to be part of this new financial system, and there will be a couple of players in the world, but Mr. Beast is going to be one of the main ones, right? He's got the biggest reach, so we're going to watch that too. In terms of active reach, what I call active reach. So we've got 95 million in 8Co as well. 8Co is Orbs, and Orbs gives open access to not just Mr. Beast Industries when they go IPO or ICO there, but also OpenAI as well. So you can see how this all coming together with AI, digital, all coming together with financial services. And this is a game changer, targeting particularly the Generation Alpha, Generation Z, and to some degree the millennials there. So massive deal here. Got to be one of the biggest opportunities on the planet right now, because you're getting a couple of plays all for one. You're getting the Ethereum play, the Mr. Beast play, and you're getting the AI play with the digital ID too, all in one here. So pretty exciting stuff. So total cash of 1.1 billion, so plenty of cash to do big buys. There'll be something equivalent to maybe 550 to 600,000 ETH right now. So just like it's just huge, just a huge amount, and we probably will get a big buy. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So let's scroll down. So staking, remember they hadn't really changed their staking for like 5 weeks. Well, they just started increasing their staking here by about another 100,000, 102,000 ETH in the last week. So it's a huge jump, and so that's increasing their income as well. The income's around 2.8%, something like that. So yeah, huge there, 2.83%. Really big deal there. And of course, what's the big thing coming? The unveiling of Maven here. Now they've was supposed to be in Q1. Depending on where you see the publication, they've kind of shifted that out and it's in 2026. So I guess they're just trying to give themselves a little bit more flexibility there. But we're expecting potentially by the end of May, but maybe, end of March. Maybe it floats out into April. We'll see. But it's pretty close. And that's going to be a big deal too for the market. It could be a market catalyst there. Now, their commentary was, as many have noticed, crypto and particularly ETH have outperformed the broader market since the Iran war commenced, with ETH rising 80% and outperforming equities by like 2.5% there. This is a marked contrast to gold, which has fallen more than 50%. Crypto is demonstrating itself as a good wartime store of value. This is from Tom Lee, right? So there we go. It's got some charts there for that. And then we've got the Clarity Act coming up, which is obviously a huge deal. This is a mega deal. This, along with any investment that we see from the US government too, right, around Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's the other thing we're looking forward to. The Clarity Act continues to make progress in Congress, and it's expected to be signed into law before the end of April. And in fact, prediction markets like Polymarket see a greater than 68% chance of passage before the end of the year. This is a positive fundamental catalyst for Ethereum, and another reason probabilities favor the crypto winter as being largely behind us, is from Lee. Now, obviously, Lee is a perma-bull, but he's also helping to make the bull market happen, right? Because he is the giant digital asset treasury on Ethereum, and he, as you can see in all those partnerships, he's pulling together essentially a new financial system. So pretty awesome, both from institutional and retail. He's pulling all these players in to be the next big birthday hashway for the digital age, the intelligence age. Now they did some big buys. So we'd been seeing that in February they were doing about 45,000 ETH buys, and now then we saw them jump up at the end of February, March, to about 50,000, 51,000, and then we saw in the middle of March they started jumping another 10,000 to 61,000 for 2 weeks. While the last week they bought 65, so they're even up another 3,500 ETH there at 65. That's a lot of ETH buying, guys. And of course they're heading towards 6 million. Remember, so it's pretty crazy. They're almost at 4.7 million. So really good stuff happening there. And they've got 1.1 billion in cash, which they're earning another 40 million on that a year. And so we're expecting potentially they could do a big buy. I don't know what that will mean. Well, it's going to mean 200,000. Are they going to help set the bottom of the market because they're trying to time that? And so we'll see. So awesome. They're also doing very well on the volume. Remember that volume's king. If you're going to raise big capital from traditional markets, you've got to have the volume. They're still ranked at number 101 in the US, still doing 1.2 billion, which I think is slightly higher than last week. So they're still doing very, very well. I mean, look, they're behind American Express, but ahead of the monster fish of their TMO. So pretty good stuff that you can see in the chart. And this means that they're able to raise capital, just like strategy is. It is a big deal there. And so remember, Bitcoin and Ethereum doing 90% of the liquidity. This is where the money comes in and out. But the market's still small, $2.5 trillion market, and of course the liquidity associated to that. So getting these things happening like this is very important. So strategy, raising, targeting the credit market, bring all that capital in, increasing the liquidity, more players come in. It's all positive flywheel. And also on the Ethereum, we get the same thing with Tom Lee being able to raise capital too and flood that into Ethereum. And of course, all this floods into Bitcoin, Ethereum. This is beneficial for all crypto and all, particularly the exciting chains. And so they're also going to get all this capital flushing around. And Pulsechain will be one of the beneficiaries of those as well as many of the other chains. So pretty cool. And we also know, obviously, if Ethereum is getting pumped by Tom Lee and through the Bitcoin with Michael Saylor, then the magic carpet ride money that Richard's got when ETH comes, starts cracking past 5K, heads towards 10, 12K, 20K, 60K, then that's worth billions. It goes from hundreds of millions to billions to potentially tens of billions, right, and beyond. So it's a lot of money. And of course, with Pulsechain, with this little liquidity, particularly at the bottom of the market right now, it's easy to pump anything. We've still got about $37 million apparently sitting idle on Pulsechain. So we've got a number of things that could all just trigger, and all the darkness that people have had in Pulsechain can all quickly disappear. Obviously, subject to decisions by the founder there, and your position in that, your belief in that happening. What else there? Tara says, do you review other coins? Tao fan. Oh, we'll have a look at that, Tara, if I can see it there. All right, so that's the big news, guys. Exciting, right? Exciting. It just keeps going. Super bullish on BMNR. So obviously MSTR, BMNR are the two common stocks for those for strategy and Bitmine Merchant, and they're building out not just a huge position on Bitcoin and Ethereum, but actually changing the monetary system. And of course, the White House is leading that, right? They want everything moving to blockchain. We know the SEC chair said that all the companies should be moving to blockchain within 2 years. Tokenization, of course, is ramping up, well in excess of 55 billion last time I checked. And of course, Ethereum dominating that. Stablecoin boom happening. Billions of dollars stablecoins happening every week there with Circle, Tether, and many other stablecoin issuers like USD1. We do see a couple of hacks these days. We saw one the other day. So you've got to be careful with new stablecoins. But the battle tested one's doing pretty well. And of course, we're getting a lot of other things around AI payment systems, creative payment systems. It really is boom time happening, and we're just at the bit still at the beginning, but we can see it all happening, right? All the fruit is starting to come, so it's exciting times. You guys hear it, exciting times. As even though the markets are down, it's actually a fantastic time. The fundamentals super bullish to the upside, and we'll get to the bottom of this cycle and start ramping it up, and then that clarity that comes through. OMG, game on, game on. All right, so that's some of the cool stuff there. Let's get the Pulsechain. Get you any comments in the chat there as well. And don't forget, if you're new to YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. If you're new to onto X, don't forget to smash the follow at the top there as well. And if you want to join our strategy club for all the intel, constantly every day I'm posting there, apart from, if I'm ill or something. And then you can hit the QR code below me, or hit the links in the video description, or pin to the top of X. Go through the Whoop store, sign up, and you'll end up in the strategy club. And we have great discussions as well. We do all sorts of stuff there. There's lots of great value and really reasonable price there, just over $1 a day. Now, general Discord membership's $12.50 a month, so you can also get that too. All right, so let's jump over into Pulsechain here. We got the current day 1,047. Can you believe it? Pulsechain, of course, a full system copy, state copy of Ethereum on the 10th of May 2023. Launched a couple of days later on the 30th of May 2023, and it's been 1,047 days since then. We had the SEC harassing the chain for 2 years. From the 31st of May 2023 all the way through December to July 2025, and but now we've been free for quite a bit of time now, and we've got the Pulsechain that's still going down. So there we go. We've had a lot of black swan events. We've had a lot of our copied protocols have flaws in them and exploits, like Maker, Compound, etc., all those sort of things. We've had a lot of that issues. We've had a lot of sacrifice people that's through the sort of the capital raise for the sacrifice program. We've had a lot of those people sell out during the time. So we've had a lot of redistribution. So people buying at the moment are picking up a lot of that redistribution, and you can essentially get like a 10 to 11x better volume. So it is really now the time to buy, in my opinion, and of course accumulating there. Now, are we going to get more white swan events now? Is it time for white swan events in an uptrend? That's the question. But I think it's looking very promising, as I talked about Ethereum and Bitcoin, for where Pulsechain will go to. So we've got Pulse at the moment is at 5087, just unbelievable price at the moment, down to up 2.6%. So we've got a little green day, but the amount of volume you can pick up Pulse now compared to Sacrifice is absolutely massive. And then we've got Pulsex at the moment at 50647, unbelievable rise right there, up 2.6%, and the buy and burn sitting at 8.74%. On Pulsechain sets, of course, it's at 9.2%, and they did a little update about that, which we'll probably read in the in the monster news, which we're going to get to in a minute. Then we got Ink token at the moment, it's 37 cents. We got that is up just under 1%. Hex on Pulsechain is at just below 1,500th of a penny, actually down 1%. EHEX at the moment is at 0006, can you believe it? Unbelievable. And we've got the combined price, EHEX and PX, is at just under 2,100th of a penny. So just unbelievable price there for the pickup zone. Going to the gas prices, we got 752,000 beats. We've had this several days now, 0.2 of a penny for a Pulse X swap. Super cheap to do business on Pulsechain. We've got 52,400 validators, pretty similar to what we've had over the last week. And the bridge there is at 70 million. So we're back over 7 million, guys, on the old recovery there of Bitcoin and ETH. So that's kind of cool. And apparently we've got about 37 million or so stable coins idle, with apparently only like 4 million or something like that of stable coins deployed. So who owns that money? Probably the likely culprits. And when's it going to be deployed, right? So keep a lookout for that. So that is the old Pulsechain. Let's jump over to the markets. We're going to quickly go through this because where we're up to on time here, 49 minutes. We've got Finvestor at the moment on the rebound now, 40%. Finvestor, of course, is the grandparent of OG Web Chef, $1.84. So a nice little bounce back there. Let's have a little look at that chart on the old Finvestor, OG Web Chef. We're going to auto log that. That's the daily candles. And yeah, look at that big mark there. We've gone from $1, got all the way down to $1.03 up to $2.05. So actually, it was almost it's a 2x almost in there. If you managed to pick that off, you probably need a limit order or something. I don't know. But that is it right now. Speaking of limit orders, we've got more suppliers coming onto Pulsechain offering limit orders. My goodness, We've got, people. There is a couple of places to do limit orders, but we're getting more and more of the top tier protocols doing limit orders, I think, which is fantastic. And the cool thing is it's not having to sit in the contract or just set up keep the tokens in your own wallet, so that's kind of cool too. Limit order is probably going to get more widely used the more easily it is accessible, so kind of cool. I think we've got Switch. I think limit orders are coming to LibertyX, so there's lots of really big protocols that are offering that, so it's kind of neat. I think we got Curve too, Curve recently, which is using the Switch API to offer that too. So Curve there, another protocol, all bringing us limit orders, which is cool. That's cool. All right, so that is it. I did a little post on limit orders, so if you haven't seen that on my X account, it's got I think the top 6 things you can do with limit orders. And so that's a nice little practical guide, because it's one thing saying, hey, look, limit orders are out, guys, and then I was go, so what? I don't know what they are, how to use them. So that is why I did that post, so just to give people an idea what you can do there. All right, let's jump over to the rest of the markets. We've got liquid loans, another good day in the office, up almost 17%. So we've got that doing pretty well. The liquid loans, of course, is our biggest liquidity fork for the time being. This is our 3rd biggest sacrifice project that we've ever had, about $52 million in sacrifice for that. It is bouncing off the bottom at the moment. We're down at 1927 at 2342, so 6 zeros in front of that, so a lot of zeros. Let's have a look at the ratio. So the ratio is definitely bouncing off the bottom. We're all the way down here at 0.011. Now we're at 0.026. Now the question, of course, we only got a little bit of liquidity, and there's all that money slushing out there somewhere, right? All that money slushing out there, 40 million, 45 million, I don't know how much it is. Surely it's earning interest. It just seems a little bit, it's a stark contrast. So show me the money, as it were. I'm sure they could, it's DeFi, so you can sort of pump the chart, maybe. We'll see. That's probably not going to happen, but we've got Crypto MVS from the Monster Thread. Good morning, Superman. Good morning, MVS. Big shout out. So MVS is the editor-in-chief of the Monster Thread, and of course the promotional lead for the Kryptonite show, so big shout out to him. Works very hard on all that. It's helping a lot of teams as well, so if you need help with getting promotions, you're a team out there, definitely hit up MVS Crypto or myself, and we can help you out, of course, with the professional publication of the Monster Thread. Goes out every week, which we're going to look at today. Today, number 46, and of course also with supporting your team promotional efforts. It's the best results you can get relative to anybody else doing it. We've only got a couple of people in Pulsechain that do promotions, but definitely what we do is like 3 times more effective and 3 times more cost effective as well. So you're definitely getting great results there. All right, let's see here. So that is the old liquid loans. We've got time dividend as well. Obviously, one of the big projects on Pulsechain. It's up 10% right now. So let's have a quick look at the time dividend. Obviously, you earn income from the swapping fees, multi-chain as well. So that is the chart there. Coming off the bottom. Now, all these are pretty similar, right? Why is that? Because Pulsechain's down all times lows, right? So they're kind of discounted. But when you look at the pulse ratio, they're both liquid loans and time are coming off the bottom there. In fact, time's not looking too bad, is it, amongst the history of the chart there. Let's go to the weekly because it's such a long chart. So time's actually looking pretty good historically, at about 101 pulse per time. So there we go. This will probably absolutely run away if Pulse gets, instead of this downtrend we've been in for a couple of years, goes to the uptrend. So we're looking forward to that. And all the pump mentals I talked about around the Magic Outride potentiality. All right, we've got Pulse Puppy at the moment, $32, up 9%. We've got Smorg up 7%, number 5. SCADA from Nuclear Supply Team, that's not doing too bad as well, up 7%. We've got Vouch, another one here. So all these ones here are based on Pulse, right? Liquid loans, time dividend, essentially. I mean, there's a lot of other tokens on there. It's a little different. It's more like a DEX wallet. And then we've got Vouch, which is another validator, the biggest validator in Pulsechain, up 6.4%. So all these kind of recovering today. Interesting, right? Interesting. But also, though, they're all down because, Pulse is down, right? So these are some of the blue chips, right? Liquid loans, time, Vouch, that you should see do really well once we get a mega uptrend. But at the moment, they are discounted, all right? We got a little pump today, but they're discounted at the moment. Coffee shop there, up 5%, number 9. A Troper there from James and Maria, up 5% as well. So we're probably going to see some interesting stuff behavior. We do get Pulse rallying. We'll probably see some interesting behavior from the OG WebChef tokens as well as the James Maria tokens. Remember, there's he launched essentially in two main waves, as I recall it, for the tokens. So we're going to keep a lookout for that when Pulse goes on a rally there. It's going to be interesting to see those two volume manipulated kind of protocols move forward. So yeah, we got Unity at number 11 from Cryptographics. He put out a nice little video the other day too. So we're keeping an eye out on the old Pulsex. Let's have a quick look at Uni versus Pulsex, because obviously we've been looking at the ratio to Pulse, but this one's set up against Pulsex. So the weekly there. So still down at the bottom there, but sitting at 29,000. We're going to keep a lookout for that too as we move forward on that one. They got their collaborative staking, or I think happening in the future. Number 12, Teddy Bear from James Maria, up 5% as well, along with the Troper. UFO there from PGC The Greys, up 4.7%. Number 13, Gophers, our first 404 contract from Dipcatcher, sitting at number 14, up 4.5% there. Sword Sun Mini Meow. Hello, hello, is it Felix? Felix. Hello, Felix. yeah. What's the CEO? The CEO is, I used to remember his name, but I've forgotten his name. Is it Otto? No, it's not Otto. Is it? It's Adolf. No, I'm just kidding. We got Cinnamon Mini Meow. It's supposed to be going to Solana, but it's still here. And yeah, I won't go diatribe about that because that's an opportunity lost, unfortunately, if they're not going to be using their buy and burn, because they got millions, tens of millions probably by now, maybe 10, 15 million that they could buy and burn and flood on Pulsechain. Probably more is probably the case. We'll see what happens there. Zendog tied into the Peacock trifecta. They're doing a lot of DeFi innovation. I think we're going to see them in the monster thread. Or was it Zero? Maybe it's Zero, the other one. Yeah, so this is part of the trifecta anyway. Zero, I think, and Zen. So that's up 3.8%. Staked ETH at number 20 is up 3.7%, one of the fork copies. What else? We've got the Doubt at 21. One of our top meme communities, got big whales holding this, keeping the price up, 3.6% there. Scroll down here, Peacock, one of the peers at least, one of the small peers, sitting at number 26, sitting at 1.2 cents. Tried to make a little move yesterday on the good news around the Iranian negotiations, got about 1.3 cents, I think. Mafia coin there from Rack and Michelle, up 38%. Now, I am aware of certain things out there around happening around the all that stuff. So we're no drama channel, so we try to avoid it. But there is a lot of aspects happening out there around that. So we'll see how all that lands. Firewell, obviously not too much happening near, but Firewell, one of our other two. So we've got two top whales, right? The Rack and Michelle, Firewell there, and that is sitting there as well. Although a lot of these prices have been depressed, so we'll. I know that Firewell is working on a lot of this real world businesses, hopefully to come back for another round, the old Pulsechain. So we'll keep a lookout for that. I'm sure he's still up to certain things on the chain, particularly around Ink token probably. Remember, number 30 is another OG Web Chef, up 2.6%. SolidX, another Firewell one there, 2.5% there. We've got our main Peacock pairs down here at number 37, 38, up 2.2%. Now, they've got the biggest catalyst, right? I think coming up, if we exclude Richard Hart activities, and then they've got the biggest catalyst is Peacock, and out of the heavyweights, Peacock, obviously Internet Money is another heavyweight. Those two I would call the two big protocols on Pulsechain. But we do have some other big launches coming up with Vault 369. Keep a lookout for that from Fast Abdul. I think that's probably one of the new heavyweight ones. We do have some very talented, we've got some of the best in the world actually, developers in DeFi. We've got Jacob, but they've got to get their protocols to market, and they've got to do it in such a way that they really have delivered on the fullness of what they've been building for several years, right? The market has obviously been extremely difficult, but they do need to get their goodwill brand awareness. After years of development, you want to get there. You don't just want to develop, get it to market. You actually want to have a good feeling about it, right? Oh wow, this actually finally got delivered. It took a long time. Market was pretty difficult, but you actually got it out there and do that. So there's a few things going on like that. Stew's another one, along with Tetra Signum. So we're looking forward to that. Those two kind of go together in many ways with the Oracle connection. So we'll keep a lookout for that. So some heavyweight protocols coming, and we wish them well, but we do want to see them really focus on a bit of brand awareness, a bit of goodwill there, as well as getting their really, really fantastic protocols over the line there on Pulsechain. So a lot of cool stuff happening there. We got, what else we got going? We got Curve at number 38. Obviously Curve there, we talked about that with the We talked about Curve with the limit orders now. So I think that's the one that we're talking about there, Curve, number 39. So it's moving around a little bit there. So yeah, we got ALGO there, Hex derivative up 2%. Zero, which is the other one I talked about. They've launched something like 10 different type of DeFis. We're going to see them in the monster thread, part of the trifecta there, along with Liberty Swap. So we'll have a look at that at the moment. So those are the times of one. So we're a couple percentage gains there. Let's have a look and see how many have actually are in the green, slightly against US dollars, and obviously some of them are down against Pulsechain. But let's have a look how many they were. So we go float all the way down here. Everything's kind of a little green. So we've got 78 of the top 100 trending pairs are green at the moment. We've definitely got some losers today. ProveX, apparently Hex down. They're the losers. We put a little bit of L losers. No, I'm just kidding. I love those guys. But we got those down right now. True Farm at the moment, delivering some real alpha. We're going to talk about them in the monster thread. They've been doing managed investments, really, in 2x miners for your pulse bag. So really interesting concept, and we're following that pretty closely. So we'll talk about that too coming up. DevC and Dominance down. Dominance from OG WebChef, another OG WebChef down 5%, and DevC there. Been under a lot of pressure lately, isn't it, the old DevC? Another down day. Look at that. Oof. Down. After that massive rally, remember that? We're talking about DevC every time we were going to the top 100 at the top. That's because they were pumping. But they've been dumping ever since. So that's what happens. It's tough in the crypto land. So those are pretty much where we are right now. We're going to have a little look at the monster thread and Liberty Swap, and then we're going to go to the monster thread and have a look at the hottest news here at the moment. So let's keep a lookout for that. So Liberty Swap just announced that they have now support USD1. So USD1 is that Eric Trump stablecoin, and they're rising through the ranks. I think they're sitting at like number 65 on CoinGecko or something like that. They've raised, I think they're at $4.5 billion, I think, is how much stablecoin they raised. But keep a lookout for them, because they're kind of a leading indicator of perhaps of some of the Trump stuff going on at the White House. So yeah, we now have USD1 from BNB coming to Pulsechain, which is awesome, right? Isn't that fantastic? Look, obviously market awareness is another thing, but actually having it, being able to come over now is a cool thing. We've got these USD1, another stable coin, very cool. All those tie-ins are very important there, and it's just about brand awareness after that, and the fact that people can do it, getting that out, and that's community takes a bit of role there. So good stuff. So you can see that. Enjoy fixed rates and instant transfers with complete gasless, fully sponsored transactions coming soon, making it easier to buy Pulsechain assets with USD1. More product and features are rolling out today. Stay tuned. So that's very cool news there on that one. So I guess I should repost that. Bam. Very cool stuff happening there. Yeah, up only says that. So yeah, kind of cool. I always like to look at the comments there. Nice stuff. So that is from LibertySwap. I don't know if they've had anything else that we're going to talk about here, but let's have a quick look. They often comment on a lot of issues in the crypto, which is cool to see. Yeah, there's a lot of documentation stuff coming. The gasless contract has been deployed to extend and DAI, Ethereum, USD1, and USDC Polygon with added monitoring protections against block. Expect to go live Wednesday this week, so that's kind of cool. I might repost that too. There's a double repost there today. Kind of cool. We are still standing, Richard Hart. Yeah, that's 20 hours ago. So that is from LibertySwap. Really, I think one of our two biggest protocols on Pulsechain, certainly expanding at a rapid size. Next big, doing a lot of upgrades at the moment, but next big thing is ZKX wallet, which is going to be like a normal wallet and a privacy wallet put together, which I understand is probably the first one we've seen like that, and so it's a real frontier game changer there, and looking forward to that. And they're going to have an airdrop as well for those holding Peacock, so kind of neat. All right, so we got the monster thread. Well, can you believe it? 46 weeks of the monster thread. It is a publication of the Crypto Night Show, professional one, And we got MVS Crypto in the house. He is the editor-in-chief of that and the promotional lead for the Crypto Night Show. If you are a team out there and you want to get some brand awareness coverage and on a constant basis and hit the market, the audience is about 35 to 50,000, and that's in a bear market. But imagine a bull market, it's going to be way higher than that, hundreds of thousands potentially. And you guys remember the FOMO days when things get going in Richard Hart's ecosystem. So pretty awesome. We've seen probably a good half a dozen to a dozen, maybe close to a dozen large influencers come in and interact with the monster thread. So we're talking about people with hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of views and followers, and they have been interacting with the monster thread over the 46 weeks. So it is really huge on engagement, and of course with a huge readership as well. It is the pretty much the main weekly monster thread there, covering the weekly news on Pulsechain. It is pretty neutral too, so if you're doing something out there, you'll get in there. And pretty exciting there. But if you are a team, you can also get yourself brand awareness up. So let's get into it. Week 46. The title of the monster thread is Richard's Pulsex upgrade. Hex goes deflationary, which is kind of an exciting story after some time, because we had the OA wallets out. Pulsechain tablet heroes. So obviously that is expanding. There's a lot of ways that that's going out to people. So that's kind of cool. And we've seen really great stories in there. Now, Richard's Pulsex upgrade, obviously Richard announced the Pulsex V1.1.4 offering better rates by rounding through ProofX liquidity. Number 2 is Vote for Pulsechain. Blockcast has 55,000 followers, so really big, another big platform that's talking about Pulsechain now. That's what I'm saying. You know, we're in a bear market, but we're getting a lot of people to get, gaining attention of the chain. Is running a very competitive poll at the moment on the most used privacy platforms between ProofX, Silent Swap, and Secret Network, and Houdini Swap. Vote now. Now, they should probably have Liberty Swap on there, but they don't. Community Tablet Heroes, open service from Zero Trust and Captain RG3, labeled and packed 4,800 Pulsechain promo tablets in just 2 days. So you got, project teams and Pulsechain doing the hard work on the front lines. Look at them. I mean, it's pretty cool. You can see all the work they're going on, so it's pretty neat. So hats off to them. Kind of cool. We got ProofX post-launch show. RX Max held the ProofX launch a live show on everything you need to know about ProofX. So obviously Richard Hart launched ProofX, and RX Max did a nice breakdown video there. Massive upcoming giveaway. Johnny there sends a shout out to Pulsechain store while sharing their massive upcoming giveaway worth 50,000 in retail value. So that's massive. I think it's the biggest thing they've ever done. So Pulsechain store, pretty cool. I think we got a little picture of that. Yeah, got the t-shirts there with the Pulsechain, looking pretty good. So that's kind of cool. Dev Development Flurry, Crypto Solve. He's one of our quant influencers out there. Highlighted several DEX developments currently happening on Pulsechain with mentions of BTC, Liberty Swap, Switch, etc. And I think you can check that out, but it's basically a lot of limit orders coming through Switch and Liberty Swap. BTC doing upgrades as well. Yeah, some cool stuff there, and an OTC over the counter there from Agora X Win. There we go. Little tongue tied there. What else there? We got Check the Curve. Famous congratulated the Curve for providing limit orders on Pulsechain. So like I say, we're getting more protocols offering limit orders, which is really great. And maybe I'll finish the show with my little article on that, showing you what the main use cases are. High growth liquidity layer on Pulsechain. True DeFi, of course, absolutely crushing it. We talked about them doing like managed funds and giving the ability to try and earn a 2x in your Pulse volumes with their 2x miners. They've also launched True Farms recently, and they are dominating, I think, the EDI rewards both on True Farm and Kyros's Emmet Farm, earning a big income from there, pushing that value back into their protocol. And as I understand it, their system miners slowly take over the protocol, so it becomes quite the monster. And of course, they're a couple of months into it now. Looking forward to that. So yeah, True 2X there, doing some great things. So it's definitely working out, a DeFi I don't know, not sort of a managed fund type of thing. It's kind of neat. Handing out tablets. Beth Short there handed out Pulsechain tablets to a crypto enthusiast couple while encouraging the community to spread the promotional tablets. I think we got a picture of that actually. There's a picture of one of the people that got a tablet, talking about pretty much handing them out there. Look at that. So all sorts of people, at all sorts of places, getting these promo tablets. We've got buy and burn. Pulsechain sets higher Pulsex buy and burn, hitting 9.18%. So it's a higher number than the GoPulse numbers. of users circulating supply, reflecting nearly 20%. This was a pretty groundbreaking number here. 20% of the sacrifice value already bought back and burned. Isn't that amazing? Sort of sneaking up on people there. Flying the flags. Susie Q posted a picture on the beach while flying the Pulse flags. We've got to have a look at this, right? Look at that. Look at that water. Whoa. Boy, they look like they're in Fantasyland, don't they? Look at that. There we go. Nice little Pulse flags there. OA massive stake there. Crypto Coffee and Crypto shared their thoughts on the OA staking 3.25 billion hex for 15.2 years. That was on the 17th, I believe. People were trying to find it, I think. What did it get? Good account or something? I can't remember. Switch milestones there. Brandon celebrated another Switch milestone. So Switch, obviously one of our big DEX aggregators and swapping sites. 10,000 switches, which is basically swaps on Pulsechain. So congratulations to Brandon. He's done an amazing job there. Hex T-share scarcity. Hexfire dropped a new Hex T-share report. 830,000 T-shares gone, and scarcity continues to grow. Obviously the OA stake coming out, getting restaked there. So I think that's all reversed probably, but that's pretty good. Crypty loves Zero. So Crypty Girl, she used to be the famous Hexagon girl. Used to do Hexagon dancing and all sorts of stuff. She was a great cheerleader for Hex. Showcased Zero, expanding DeFi system of over 10 protocols. So big shout out to Zero there. You can see all the protocols that Zero is launching. Remember, Zero is kind of part of this Liberty Swap trifecta. There's like 3 projects there. And so yeah, good stuff there. Zero Scan, Zero Chat, CypherBot, Cypher Index, Pulsechain Nexus, Zero Media, Zero Enemy, Cypress Labs, was it Zoronex, Helios Play, Zero Voice, and Croft there. So a lot of these ones I hadn't even known about. I knew they were doing Pulsechain news, like Nexus type things, crypto publication, but that's pretty awesome from them. So lots of stuff happening on the old Pulsechain there. A lot of that's apparently, I think, still being developed and moving forward, but kind of cool. Then we got a nice cool community post here from the barbecue cook-off. You got to love that, right? You got to love that. Let's have a look at that. So they've got their barbecue cook-off here. I think we've got a little video. Yeah, look at that. Oh, well, look at that cooker, mate. That's a cooker. Pit Boss. Oh, hey! That's got to be pretty damn good, right? That must be some. Is that some temperature thermometer there? It looks like it. But look at the end result there, guys. I hope I'm making it too hungry there. But there you go. That is it. So pretty cool. What's for dinner? And I think we got another one there too, don't we? We got 2. Let's have a look. I think we have 2. There's the other one there. There we go. So if you love your meats, there's on there. So community's up to all sorts of craziness there with the barbecues. Hex deflationary milestone. Ben Sierra latest report highlighting the current Hex user supply, flipping deflationary. So that's kind of cool. You read that. He gives monthly reports. More ProoveX liquidity. Your friend Somi, obviously one of our top Pulsechain influencers, has pointed out the second biggest ProoveX holder adding 350k in LP for PDI, Inc. and EHEX. And I did a little post on that too, showing that there was probably about 10 to 15 projects now hooked in the LP with about 850k or more in LP, added to that $2 million that was already there from Richard Hart on that stuff. So there's some pretty cool stuff there. Coverage there. Now, honorable mentions, we had Team here shared a Pulsechain block explorer, Pulse Scanner. We got Crypto Chat 7, another Pulsechain influencer, number 1 in the UK, and went live with High Altitude to discuss why Pulsechain will crush it in the bull market. So if you like those forward-looking views, go check that out. OG Tangent, a TA and influencer in the Pulsechain community, plans to use Frank White's ecosystem. Obviously, of course, we always see Frank White all the time. Big shout out to him. Doing an ecosystem map to find the best protocols, and of course that is pretty cool. So we've got that Frank White ecosystem. It's got all the protocols there on Pulsechain. Definitely getting bigger and bigger all the time, isn't it? As more developers launch more alpha. So he's going to do a what's the best ones. Now you guys know I've been talking about this myself. So we're on the same headspace, me and Tangent. We've got Alchemy is 5 years in Pulsechain there. So a nice little person story there about how long they've been in Pulsechain. So congratulations to him. So obviously we've got some pretty key stuff in the outside the news. We also got some of the big protocols in here. We've got True DeFi, of course, volume and treasury services for partner protocols, Emmet Farm, new giveaways and high APR farms there. We've got Hero. Now Hero's doing an amazing job. I mean, let's think about it, paying it forward for the veterans. So it's really, really cool. They earn income from that and they put it in the DAO, and then they support the veterans there and first responders. So big shout out to Hero. Obviously the Crypto Night Show, the ZKP on Pulse, first ProoveX staking platform, and Lady Liberty there taken off. We're expecting some big things happening for that So let's have a little bit of breakdown. We've got some cool images for the monster thread. Obviously doing the iPad promotions in California there at the Hive. We've got our picture of the blue water. Isn't it nice? Wouldn't you love to be there with a cocktail? I don't know, cocktails and drinks. We've got the big buy-in, we've got the burning going on with the old Pulsex. And then we've got obviously the t-shirts there come from Pulsechain store. So some nice images there for the monster thread. So definitely check that out. I'm going to copy that in and share it around. I mean, it really is fantastic there. Monster thread. What we got here? Monster thread 46. And so you can share that around there on YouTube. It's perfect if you've been busy for the week. You want to catch up on everything. It's perfect if you want to onboard new people to Pulsechain. And of course, mate, it's perfect for you if you just want to, there's a lot of things you haven't seen and you'll see stuff there. So it really is fantastic there all around. So share that around. Kind of cool. Baseline says, Cocktails and Dreams used to be a nightclub on the Gold Coast in the early 2000s. Yeah. Probably on the Tom Cruise movie, no doubt. No, Tom Cruise. But there's the monster thread, guys. Week number 46, guys. And think about it. It's only 6 weeks away till 1 year of publication for the monster thread. Isn't that awesome? Anyway, we've got True DeFi in the house. So if you want to get 2x in your Pulsechain miners, they got that product. They also got True Farm, which is offering high yields. You can also earn EDI by single-side staking. The True DeFi, True Farm token. So got that there as well. And they are doing managed funds. So they invest a lot of the funds and put that back into the miner platform to get your yield. So it's really is kind of cool to see a managed fund type of protocol on Pulsechain. And I think they're like maybe they're in the third month now. So definitely worth checking out, reading all about that in the monster thread there. You can see some of the breakdowns too with their some of the stuff. So really, yeah, if you like that. So definitely follow them. People have been enjoying it. I think it was a week or so ago, the first people that got 2x in their miners of Pulse already matured. So congratulations to them. Looking good there. We also got Emmett Farm. Emmett Farm, of course, leading the way with the farming. I've been around about a year, and that's my second tongue twister there. And they've got a big competition on at the moment, so you can earn free crypto, 50 Emmett, which I think is about $55 or something like that. So it's pretty good. So if you're into competitions, great chance there. All you have to do is hit that X there, and then just follow them, tag 3 Pulsechain influencers and like and retweet. So there we go. The event is live and heating up fast. So get into that. But of course, the main thing they do is single-side staking of Emmett, and you earn EDI. Been very popular indeed. Hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in there earning EDI every day. APR is 148% OMG. After a year, I mean, think about this. This is how successful Emmett's been. They got top yield farms as well, and there's heaps of them, right? These are some of the ones that you can get into. You got Pulsechain Store, Peacock, UFO, all sorts of top tier protocols for earning high yields. More bangers like True Farm, like more bangers, pretty cool. You can also buy Emmett. There's the Emmett contract there, and get into the socials. If you do get into Telegram on Emmett, they do have a airdrop bot, and so you can earn crypto all the time. They do airdrops constantly. So it's definitely a way of earning some nice passive income there. So if you're a small player in the crypto space, you want to earn some free crypto, perfect for you. Get in there and get involved and earn some high yields. That's pretty much it. So kind of cool. I did an interview with Kairos from Emmett Farm, so you can watch the full there. It's an hour long, and of course you can see some of the high yields there as well. That you can go and put in there. So what you do is basically you provide liquidity in 2 pairs, because maybe you provide Impulse and Emmett, and then you get what they call LP tokens. You can bring those LP tokens, log on here, and they'll show up in the balance, and then you can stake them and start earning some rewards. Kind of cool. It's that easy. All right, kind of cool from Emmett Farm. Gotta love the imagery there. Looks great. What else we got going? We got Hero. So Hero is veterans, NGO type of thing, non-profit, and they earn from the token trading of Hero and Vets. And they've got a DAO, but they also have the opportunity to do farming on Emmett and True Farm. So you've got some nice yields there for Hero and Vets. You can see they're pretty high and looking pretty good. In fact, I think they've been pretty sustainably high too. So definitely something worth checking out there. And of course, you help contribute, with the trading volume, I believe, to the DAO. And the DAO there, allocates it to the vets and first responders, which is pretty neat. So big shout out to Vic on non-profit there. So looking pretty good there from Aero and Vets. So pretty cool. doing some good stuff. You've got cool videos of that. I love that. Looking good there. There's some of the farms that you can put your tokens into for hero and vets. Obviously, they've got some cool imagery there. Very, very, very cool. So good stuff there from vets. Big shout to that team. Doing some good work there. Obviously, we've got the Kryptonite show there as well. Every week there's a different picture. I like that. It's kind of cool. Big shout to MVS there. ZKP, community exploding. Of course, we've got ZK on Pulse. A project there, another project from Chorus actually at Emma Farm. And you can buy ZKP, stake it, and earn PruvX there, so that's passively. And that looks like it could be a winning project given how big PruvX is probably going to be. So we'll keep a lookout for that. You can also farm on Emmet with that too. Pretty awesome stuff. So a lot of cool stuff happening in the space there with the zero knowledge printer. Definitely 5% taxes on volume, and that feeds the PruvX yield there. Kind of cool. ZKP there. Cool artwork there. All right, very cool. And some of the farming yields look at 200%. So pretty groovy on the on that. And then finally, the last post here, Liberty Swap, the private DeFi revolution. Obviously, this is one of the two big projects, really, in my view, on Pulsechain. Liberty Swap, they're building out some incredible stuff. So recently, they've done massive multi-chain upgrades, deck upgrades, the Polygon and Base fully bridged, so you can, connecting to these chains. Now seamlessly USD flows to and from Pulsechain, Polygon and Base. Isn't that awesome? Liberty X Dex is live, so Dex aggregator actually and crushing it. So you can actually buy and sell like with some really great rates. So kind of cool. We've got zero fees, best Pulsex routing and built-in MEV protection. They also got the first USD1 transactions already flowing in BNB, which I highlighted earlier. Deep stable pools forming with the zero price impact. Awesome stuff. They also got their privacy and infrastructure getting a monster upgrade. Liberty Shield plus Railgun ZK private suite is living it hard. Native Tornado Cash and Railgun Shield addresses. Awesome. At the frontier of this stuff. It's really amazing. A hardware wallet support incoming. Full native Pulsechain coin shielding. Portable open source web app built on Ethereum. Now, this hardware wallet, of course, we're looking forward to is the CKX wallet. And, of course, going to have an airdrop for Peacock holders. That is the next big thing. It's going to be truly a big, big thing there. After that, we're expecting Liberty X Lend. So lending is coming in the privacy suite. I mean, these guys, these guys are just crazy good and really building out a huge ecosystem. And of course, with Liberty Swap V2 that they put in place at the beginning of the year, I think it was, they can hook in all sorts of DeFi into the system. It is mind-blowing. And of course, we know that privacy is one of the big things of this theme coming up. And these guys are bridging to all the other chains with all the top protocols and tokens and offering privacy and shielding and everything else and trading, lending, wallets. I mean, this thing's just a juggernaut. So really excited about the roadmap of Liberty Swap there. Oh, woohoo! So pretty cool. Obviously, they've also tied into PruvX pretty quickly. They're positioned pretty well. You can actually, buy through the PruvX aggregator. They've got lots of support there for PruvX, so big start there. And also set up an LP pair between Peacock and PruvX. I think one of the biggest outside the Richard Art stables and Wrapped ETH. So pretty cool stuff there at the moment. And you can also trade it on Liberty X, right? So big shout out to the team there. And what a great job they do. Some good stuff happening there with Liberty X. There's a little comparison there of swapping on Liberty X, the DEX aggregator, versus Pulsex, right, which they already route through anyway. So idea that you get a better result there, but definitely worth, or pretty similar there. So definitely worth checking out. All right, so there we go. Peacock battling all the way through the bear market, dropping all the alpha. That is the spirit there. All right, so that is the monster thread, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Big shout out to MVS Crypto, working hard on that every week. He is the editor-in-chief, and of course, it is publication of the Kryptonite Show, and we're excited about it. We love doing it, and it's making a big difference there. Like I say, we probably had a dozen very large influencers interact with it, and that's pulling. It's going to bode well for the bull market ahead. So exciting times, guys. So getting into that, folks, is pretty awesome. What else are we going to say? I think that's it. I think that's it for the show. We're up to an hour and 23 minutes, so we've gone very long today, but it was well worth it because there's so much cool stuff happening there, as you can see. All right, I think that's it. Should we finish the show? Probably should. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe, like, share, hit the bell, And if you haven't joined, of course, Strategy Club, links in the video description, pinned to the top of X there. Just over $1 to join up, or $12.50 for a general Discord membership. And we'll see you in there. We've got the only help desk out there for crypto. So it's pretty cool. We've helped hundreds of people in there. Our moderators are amazing. So big shout out to all the moderators there. And what else? Yeah. Fun times ahead, guys. World peace in our time. World peace in our time. No, we got to deal with some of these big issues. Long time overdue. Good to see that happening, and of course that means big recovery, V recovery in the markets. That's what we're looking forward to ahead of us. Clarity Act in April, May. Bring it on. It's game on, and we've got all the mega themes playing out. Stablecoins, tokenization, all the traditional markets coming over to blockchain. Come on, guys! It's a tsunami upon tsunami upon tsunami, and we're in that kind of final maybe month or two, 3 months. Maybe up to the end of May. I think we're gonna have some good times in there, but certainly volatile, and game on from there. Right, game on. So exciting times. All right, take care, everybody. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.